This is his 54th pole in 840 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races, third pole and seventh top 10 start in 2012, fifth pole in 52 races here at Dover International Speedway. So quite a lot of stats and quite a lot of chatter today from the second and third place starters behind you tomorrow. So just talk a little bit about your pole winning run out there today, Mark.
Yeah, just it is it's so much fun to work with Rodney Childers. He puts together such incredible race cars, and the whole team and everybody at MWR. But Rodney is a race car driver, and he relates to things a little bit different than the crew chiefs that I've worked with in the past. And it's a fun experience for me. It's something different, and it's just a blast. He's doing such a great job, and of course Michael, being a driver as well, having a driver for an owner, it's different because they see things, a little bit differently, sort of. And it's a unique experience, and something that I'm glad I've had an opportunity to do, in my career, because of all the years that I raced. I really never had a chance to work with an owner and a driver that were both race car drivers themselves.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Mark. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start right here in the middle with Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Mark, could you describe the lap itself? How much of a nail biter was it out there?
I would never try that again. I anticipated the car being loose, but I didn't ask Rodney if he tightened it up. I knew the conditions were looser than they were in our mock qualifying run yesterday, and I didn't want to ask him because I didn't want to get concerned. I knew that I only had to make it 1 mile without wrecking, and I was going to drive, to the limit and slightly beyond, and I felt like I did that. Certainly wouldn't cheat. I certainly wouldn't cheat it again that far. I wouldn't want to have to try to do that again, but I can't sit on these poles without the fastest race car, and MWR and Rodney Childers in particular, and the guys on our team are doing that. So we won one little challenge today, and that was to sit on the pole, and that gives us a good starting position and a good pit stall. But the whole race is completely dictated by how your car handles in race setup, and we will put our heads together and come up with what we're gonna put in the car for tomorrow, because we never really hit the nail on the head yesterday, and although we were good, I didn't feel like we hit the nail on the head. And so we continue to work together collectively to try to find, exactly what that needs to be for me to have 400 or 500 miles worth of good, solid, consistent speed enough to really be able to win. Although we really had a great run in Texas, and that seems to be one time in some of the next races that we've run, we haven't been able to hit the nail quite on the head yet. So we'll continue to work collectively. I'm learning, and they're learning about me, and I'm learning about them, and I'm learning the cars, and I'm having a blast.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Bob, then come back up to Lee.
Bob Pockris of Sporting News. This is a track where you have had a pretty good amount of success. I mean, can you just kind of talk about your history at this track and how much you like it?
I love this place, and it hasn't been pointed out by anyone, but I'm sure it's true. Just dawned on me this weekend. I got my first NASCAR win here in 1987 in a nationwide race, and I was running third, and Tommy Ellis and Brett Bodine tangled right in front of me and kind of handed me my first win. So I remember that. So, but this place has always been awesome for me to race on, and although we've only won 4 Cup races here, we should have many others as well, and had an epic battle with Dale Earnhardt Sr. here in 1989, I think it was, where we raced side by side, lap after lap after lap, and I came up short. So had lots of great races here, and I'm just I feel like a lucky guy to be strapping in that number 55.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Other sports make a big deal about, age in sports and where the people's performance is. And, usually if a guy's over 40 and he's accomplishing big things, it's a huge, huge deal. Why is it that in NASCAR, that's when most of our drivers are really coming into their own?
Well, in the past, it's not so much now as it was, back when I got started. Back when I got started, there were no engineers in the sport, and the driver himself had to be the data acquisition, so to speak, and help the crew chief in many ways, help the guide the crew chief, much like the simulation does and the computers do and our engineers do today. So the sport continues to lean toward. It's not a problem to be Joey Logano's age and come out here and win big like it was. You couldn't get a ride when you were Joey Logano's age when I was coming in. You had to wait for Bobby Allison or Richard Petty, or Cale Yarborough or somebody to step aside because there were only 7, 8, 9, 10 good cars and the rest of them were so you had to race for 15 years before you got a chance in a car that you could really win in anyway. All those things, are different now. You get fairly equal equipment, when you first step into this thing, because you get a team car to Roush Racing, or a team car to Joe Gibbs or MWR or Hendrick or whatever. So you get much better equipment younger, and you have the engineers and the computers and all those things, so the driver only has to say what the car is doing and what it feels like, and they can take it from there. Where back in the day, you had to tell the crew chief more. It feels like it needs track bar. It feels like it needs a right rear spring. You need to change a sway bar. You need to do all, those kind of things.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Mike in the back.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. Mark, I know a lot of these numbers don't necessarily mean a lot to you because you've done so much at your age. But if you can win a pole next year, you'll beat the other oldest guy, Harry Gant, who won one at 54. Would that matter much to you at all if you can do that next year?
I'm mixed on that. One, I wouldn't want to beat Harry Gant's record on one side of it because Harry Gant's the man in, my eyes. On the other hand, on the other side of that is, hey, records are records. That's why we do what we do. So, I guess to answer your question, I'm neutral on that. I certainly respect to the hilt Harry Gant, and really liked and enjoyed racing with him, and I liked talking to him off the racetrack.
Okay, we got a question here in the back as well.
Jim Fitzgerald, Insider Racing News. Mark, you've been driving here for 30 years. Can you explain how you attack the track differently as it's changed from asphalt to new concrete to a worn-in surface now?
Really, the concrete hasn't changed that much. The tire has, but the concrete has been the same. They did a fabulous job of concreting this racetrack. It is very smooth for concrete, and it hasn't changed. The tires have evolved over the years, and thank goodness and kudos to Goodyear for finding a tire that'll run a fuel stop without giving any trouble. This place has always been, whether it was asphalt or concrete, either one has always been a bear for Goodyear. It was really been a challenge for Goodyear to build a tire that the right front tire would stand up and to the terrible stress and strains that we put on them. So it's changed a lot over the years, but it's still got the same banking, and the racing here is still awesome.